Okay, today we're going to study SD 1245.12, chapter 12 of volume 45 of the Sutta Discovery, entitled Chandala Sutta, the discourse on the outcast, A51.75. And the theme here is the qualities of the true follower, of the true Buddhist, if you like. So here, as we can see, the title is quite colorful, quite strong, in fact, on the outcast. And why is this word used? Well, in the first place, the Buddha rejects the caste system. In other words, what he teaches is that none of us are born into a high class or a middle class. It is how we behave, our actions, that make us high class or low class. So here, in other words, the word Chandala, which is a word for the lowest class, one of the lowest class, if you like, is not a social terminology. It is more of a spiritual reminder not to fall into those low, dark states where we fail to practice what we have vowed to be, what we have declared ourselves to be, in other words. So, to call ourselves Buddhists and to be Buddhist may not be the same thing. So, in this sutta, in this very short sutta, we are reminded what are our tasks as Buddhists. So, now, as usual, we'll see, although this is a very short sutta, you can see even more clearly. So we have two parts. In the first part, the Buddha talks about the negative aspects of someone who is a false follower, if you like. And then the second part are the qualities of the true follower. Again, here we have to remind ourselves, we're not talking about classes of people again. We are talking about tendencies here. We're talking about forgetting what we're supposed to do. So when we forget our task as a Buddhist, the true duties of a Buddhist, in that sense we feel as if we have been flung out of the group, that we are not really part of the true community. It's not that we are not members of a particular group. You can be a member of a particular group, but still be an outsider to the Dharma. In other words, where the Dharma is concerned, we are always alone before the Dharma. It is this spiritual aloneness, this ability to be by ourselves, to make the effort ourselves, to experience the peace ourselves, that break the barrier of selfhood and connects us with others who have similar peace, similar compassion, similar wisdom. We can only be connected through this aloneness, the spiritual aloneness that we experience. We may be gregarious and friendly and joyful with a group celebrating some big festival, but you may notice the next time you go for a big Vesak gathering or any festival in a temple or in a big group, you notice there are always people who feel left out, people who are alone. In a sense, I might say many people would feel that way. Even though they may appear happy, they may smile, they may even go through the motions, as we say, but there is no real fellowship, in other words. Because in such a celebration, we're not really internalizing the situation. It is an outpouring of joy, yes. It is an externalizing of our qualities to show that there is a certain herd quality, certain unity. It's not a social thing, in other words. There are benefits in this kind of action. But if we talk of a spiritual development, in other words, you will be alone sooner or later, and you need to take care of your problems all by yourself. And as a Buddhist, you need to be able to do that. When you're alone with yourself or with another, when you're helping this person, you must have that strength of spiritual aloneness, like the Buddha sitting under the Bodhi tree in all his radiance, even though it might be in the dark of night. And he's there all by himself, strong, courageous, radiant, with wisdom and compassion. And yet, he talks before big crowds and teaches them the Dharma that brings them joy and happiness and liberation. So this is the Buddhist idea of how we are alone and yet we are united with others who are of the same heart and the same mind in that sense. So what really unites us is not membership. It is not affiliation. Rather, it is this having tasted the Dharma. The true Sangha, in other words, is a group of Dharma tasting connoisseurs, if you like. They have tasted the Dharma, or we have tasted the Dharma, and it is the taste of joy and freedom. And because we have tasted this joy and freedom, we can easily communicate with one another, and our presence benefit others also. So how do we get to that kind of level? So let's look at the Sutta. The discourse on the outcast, A5.175. Bhikshus, a lay follower with 5 qualities, is an outcast, or an outcast Chandala lay follower, in Pali Upasaka Chandala. A stained lay follower, Upasaka Mala. An inferior lay follower, Upasaka Parikita. What are the 5? So in other words, what are the 5 problems or 5 things that make a lay follower an outcast, a failed lay follower, not a true lay follower at all? He lacks faith. He is not morally virtuous. He believes in rituals to invoke luck. He relies on luck, not on karma. He seeks the gift-worthy outside the teaching and gives his priority there. So these are the 5 negative qualities, which I will comment in a moment. On the positive side, there's the second half. Bhikshus, a lay follower with 5 qualities, is a jewel of a lay follower, Upasaka Ratana. A lotus of lay followers, Upasaka Paduma. A white lotus of lay followers, Upasaka Pundarika. What are the 5? So here now we have the 5 positive aspect of the qualities. He has faith, saddha. He is morally virtuous, silawa hoti. He believes not in rituals that invoke luck. Akotuhala mangalika hoti. He relies on karma, not on luck. Kammang paceti no mangalang. He seeks the gift-worthy within the teaching and gives his priority here, meaning here in this, with the Dhamma Vinaya, the Buddha's teaching. Na ito bahida dakineyang gawe sati idacha pupa karang karoti. Okay, let's examine each of these 5 qualities as diagrams. A true follower has faith, whereas a false follower does not. What is the faith we're talking about here. On a simplest level here, Buddhist faith means it's a joyful feeling. You feel joyful as a Buddhist. So if you're joyful, obviously you easily smile at people, you're friendly to them. So if you go to a temple, let's say for a Sunday service, and when you arrive there you see people happy, smiling, that's wonderful, isn't it? And if you see people with long faces who don't smile at you and nobody welcomes you, nobody feels happy, something's wrong, right? So it's a joyful faith. How do you get this joy? By studying the suttas, listening to the Dharma and understanding them and practicing them. That is study. Then practice doing meditation, loving kindness. You feel full of loving kindness. You practice breath meditation, you feel peaceful. And then with these two combined wisdom arises, you feel joyful. So this faith, in other words, is an informed faith. It's a wise faith. It's a faith through personal experience. So although we talk of a faith through personal experience, it is a faith of feeling, affective faith of great joy. There is the other faith, which is like more of intellectual, kind of dogmatic, listening to teachings and following them, listening to the guru, the pastor, the leader, and believing in the leader rather than knowing it for yourself. So in the case of that kind of faith, blind faith if you like, the motto is believe that you may know. So whatever you believe becomes your knowledge, in other words. So that is a kind of constructed false knowledge. On the other hand, when it comes to wise faith, know so that we can believe. In other words, here let's say you have touched fire and it burns you. You know it burns, it hurts if you put your hand there. You don't have to do it again the next time. Because even though you don't do it, you know it's going to happen and you tell someone, I believe, because I believe if you put your hand in now, you're going to get burnt. And here that I believe and I know have the same sense. So this faith, it is a kind of comes from experience, and it's also a joyful feeling. It's like you come to a puddle and you look at the puddle, and that's the only place you can go across. You can go on your journey, and there's a little puddle. So you size up the puddle and you say, okay, this is the area of the puddle, then I have to jump so far, and you make an effort, you jump across the puddle. And you are quite, you don't go to the water, and then you continue your journey. So you have that sense of confidence, okay? And you feel good about it once you reach the other side. So in Pali it's called avijja pasada, kind of wise faith. So the true follower, the jewel of a follower, lotus of a follower, a white lotus of a lay follower, has this wonderful, joyful faith. Next is morally virtuous, silawa. Here, morally virtuous means he understands the precepts, and here, of course, the most basic are the 5 precepts. We, first of all, must understand why the 5 precepts are arranged that way. The first one talks about life, because life is precious to us. Life is the most important thing. It begins there. Right? If we can ask ourselves a basic question, what is the most precious thing that we have? What's the most important thing in this universe? For us, it's life. So we must respect life, protect life. That's the first precept. Value of life. Then this life that we have, how do we make it valuable? What is it that makes it valuable? What does it that makes it good? We feel happy. right? To have life, you feel happy. You want to be happy. That's the second value, happiness. Another way of looking at it is you need to support this life with food, clothing, shelter, health. So we work, as lay people we work. As renunciants we study, practice, and realize the Dharma in this life itself, so we get the support of the laity. So if someone else takes away all these things that we have worked hard for, that's called stealing, and it affects the life quality of the other person. It affects our own life quality too. So the second precept is to prevent this from happening. The second precept is based on the value of happiness. Now, so we have life and we have happiness. The next thing to put value in this combination, or this, we can go say life itself if you like, is we need to be free, so that we can meditate when we like, our mind is free and happy, we can move around, make friends, talk the Dharma. So this third precept is against disrespecting the person of others. And the most violent disrespect here towards the person is rape, kind of forced sex on people. So understandably, the third precept is against sexual misconduct, because if a person sexually misconducts himself, he would force himself on another person, and when this person says no. Okay, so here is the right to say no. So that's another aspect to freedom, the right to say no and to respect that person when he says no. Then you have the fourth value is, the fourth precept is against lying. In other words, this precept protects the value of truth. All these previous precepts, in fact all the precepts, should be based on truth, otherwise there's no point of us following this precept. So truth is another basic value. And finally, the fifth precept is against taking intoxicants, including drugs. Here, this precept is like a bridge between the body and speech, which the precepts deal with, to bridging it onto mental cultivation. So here, this fifth precept is kept to ensure that our mind is not confused and fuzzy, and we can't use it to meditate. The mind is not calm or clear. So this fifth precept, we can say, is based on the value of wisdom, if you like, or the value of mental development, if you like, or simply the value of the mind, because the mind is the vehicle of our awakening. So then we can see all the five precepts are very logically arranged, very systematically arranged in terms of values for our practice, so that our life is really valuable as a tool and a vehicle for awakening, in other words. So you can imagine, if we understand the nature of moral virtue in this way, we understand why we need to be morally virtuous. Right? To be morally virtuous doesn't mean to be goody-goody, doesn't mean to simply show people that we are holy. We don't have to put on amazing, fabulous looking uniforms, or look different, or appear to be holy by knowing to chant well, and so on. So here, in other words, we feel calm with our body, happy with our speech, and we respect others, we're able to relate to them. Moral virtue is the basis for a wholesome and functioning creative society, in other words. Then the third quality here, the true follower does not believe in rituals that invoke luck. The word kotuhala means noisy rituals. Noisy rituals that we believe would bring good luck to us. You find in some cultures their rituals are very noisy, and you can't really focus. You don't feel peaceful. Yeah, some people, they just love noise. But if any culture has lots of noise, you find they will not progress spiritually. They will not progress even philosophically, even culturally. The culture would not really be refined. So noise is not helpful, in other words. It's a kind of pollution. Here, I'm not making the remarks to degrade any culture. If we see this, we create this culture, so if we see all these negative aspects, it's up to us to change this. All these ideas, all these noisy aspects of culture were introduced by certain people who were dominant. So if we get more people who are peaceful, quiet and wise, and we get together and we say, no, look, we want a happy, beautiful culture, you'll get it. So if you study the different cultures of the world, you'll find every culture has got something good, something bad. So what we do is we look at the good aspects of those cultures and say, okay, how can we develop this culture within ourselves? It all starts with the individual, and then from there it grows and influence and change other people, and over time we get a better and better culture, in other words. So here again there is a false follower believes in luck. Luck means you have nothing to do with this event, it just happens like that. You might say, oh, maybe luck does exist, doesn't it? For example, if I wait for a bus, sometimes the bus comes, sometimes it doesn't come. Sometimes the weather is bad, so it's just my luck, you might say. We have no control over these things. But to some extent that's true. But there are many other choices we can make. If we say, in this case, what is it we're trying to do? We're trying to travel. Okay, so there are many other choices we can make. Just take the example of a bus, okay? So let's say it's just my luck, the bus didn't come today, okay? The irony is this, and the interesting point is this: when you expect a bus to come, you're thinking of the bus. So when you're thinking of that bus, you're measuring time. So obviously when you measure time, you will say, wow, it's taking a long time. But when you don't care about the bus, you say, hey, look, that's the bus. But when you say, hey, look, that's the bus, it's that moment. At that moment only you're thinking of the bus. So obviously it seems to be a very short time. So this is relative to whether we are thinking about something or not. So it's nothing to do with luck here. So it's a choice we make with our wisdom, our effort, our knowledge of things, and so on. Okay? So here, of course, some things may happen as if it is beyond our power, but we say that is karma. Okay? So this is where we come to the next point, number 4. The true follower believes or relies on karma, not on luck. What does this mean? Well, first of all, what is karma? In simple terms, karma, number 1, is our deliberate action. Now I use the word deliberate action because sometimes karma can be unconscious. For example, let's say if someone has been used to killing people, as a robber who kills people, or those violent terrorists who kill people for noble purposes, or so they think, they're so used to it that they don't even think it is wrong. So it becomes so habitual, they're not even conscious of the badness of such an action. So they are not no more aware of this, the moral quality of the action. So although they commit this action even unconsciously, habitually, it is still karma, because it's still deliberate in the sense that they are motivated or pushed by greed, hate, delusion, or fear. So remember, karma may still be committed when we are not aware of it. It becomes habitual, like people getting angry. People habitually get angry because they are rooted in hate or even fear. So this is where mindfulness, wisdom, helps us to understand karma better. So that is karma. Then you have the results of karma. Take karma to be like seeds, and these are different kinds of seeds. So certain seeds will sprout when there's certain amount of water, certain amount of warmth and sunlight and so on. So you have all these different seeds. You have black ones, which are bad, and good ones, which are white. So if you habitually do good, you get more white ones, and the black ones are at the bottom, and they have no chance to come up. But sometimes the black one has a chance, because if the conditions are such, then this black one sprouts up. Or sometimes there's a bit of tremor, and then the black ones come to the top, and the seeds start sprouting because the conditions are right. So our task as a true Buddhist is to make sure there are no conditions for bad karma to ripen. So how do we do this? By having lots of loving kindness, constantly practicing loving kindness. Loving kindness makes us feel happy and joyful, and when you're happy and joyful, you find it's easier to practice the precepts. When you're happy and joyful, you don't feel like doing bad things. So, and bad karma will not have a chance to ripen. If some of the stronger bad karma ripens, then their result will not be so strong. In fact, loving kindness limits the result of your karma. So if you build up your loving kindness, that's the best way to limit the effect of bad karma, and also prevents you from committing bad karma. So here I have to remind you to avoid all those talk about karma purifying rituals and chants and so on. These are wrong views, and they should not be believed and practiced, because you cannot manipulate your karma in that way. You can only do it in your own mind through your meditation, especially loving kindness. Then there's another aspect of karma. Sometimes, especially when we are very good people, there comes a point in our life when, like it or not, our karma will ripen. Even in the Buddha, you see all these things happening, bad karma ripening. But the arahats, like the Buddha, are always calm. They let all this happen, and they're not going to react to it. It's just like you have stored up this water, you dam it up, right? And then the dam breaks. You can't stop the water, just let it flow. But you're on high ground, so you're safe. So just let the charging bull pass, let the charging train pass, let the rushing water pass. You stand on high ground, safe and happy. So sometimes bad karma have an effect on us. We may lose things. We may even feel unhappy because we lose things, we lose the love of people, we lose people we hold dear to sometimes. But we are calm, we say, okay, this is the working of karma, we are letting it pass. So we reflect on impermanence, on the nature of change, nature of karma. Then the karma passes, the sun shines again, we are happy again. We are never troubled by karma in that way. The wise work happily. Here again, we have this one of the three factors, that is attachment to rituals and vows. So if we are drawn to rituals and vows, that means we do have some superstition in us. So this aspect, this quality number 4 also means we have to detect, do we have any superstition, and understand why we have that superstition, uproot it, and understand the Buddha's teaching. So what's wrong with rituals and vows? Rituals again externalize our actions. We think that the causes are from outside, but the reality is our way we look at things, our suffering comes from inside us. The way we view things, the way we see things, our ignorance, our fears, and so on. Number 2, we tend to blame others when something bad happens, and very often we blame one particular person. But if we really examine a situation, a problem, When something bad happens, it's never really one person. I mean, even if you talk about World War II, you can't blame Hitler alone for World War II. There are many other conditions that attend to the situation. And then, well, yeah, you might say Hitler is the person who made use of these conditions, but he's also the result of that condition. And then the conditions themselves destroyed him. What I'm saying here is, if we carefully examine a problem, we find that there are many conditions. So what the Buddha is teaching us here is, we cannot really blame any one person, but we have to look at the conditions and see what's going on here. And when you understand how the conditions work and where it is weakest, and you remove the weak link, the whole structure collapses. This is where we understand the 12 links helps us a lot, which we won't go into today. So here, look at all the conditions, study them, and when you understand the conditions, you know what bad conditions to avoid, and then the badness of the conditions will change to become something good, in other words. So we create conditions of suffering for ourselves. We can also remove those conditions and generate conditions to bring us happiness, in other words. Now the fifth quality says the true follower seeks the gift worthy within the teaching and gives his priority there. So here, in other words, if we are true Buddhist followers, the very first people we would give dana to would be the practicing monks and nuns. Of course, the Buddha, if the Buddha was alive. Here, why do we support the monks and nuns first? Because the true monks, I'm not talking about the professional career monks and nuns, but here we're talking about the real, the forest monks, forest nuns, those who are really renunciants. It's because they have really left home. They don't have any money. They don't use money. They don't own things. They don't break the precepts. So they are practicing on their own. So in a sense, they're like the musical geniuses and virtuosi, if you like. You see all these great musicians, composers, even painters, they create great beauty for us, things of beauty, sounds of beauty. But their lives are full of pain and suffering and often quite short. In other words, they're making this great sacrifice to create beauty. They don't take care of their health, and because to them they're so involved with their work. It's as if they have no control over themselves. This beauty, this joy just comes to them. They have to express this. So they need the support of patrons and other people to be able to live a healthy life, to not just create those beauty, but to really live a happy life, to be able to create beauty. Now, in the case of the Sangha, the true Sangha, the true renunciants, in a sense they're also like that, but they're happier though, and they live longer and so on. There are wonderful qualities there. But we cannot take these things for granted, because forest monks, forest nuns who really practitioners, they live very simple lives, they eat very simple food, and sometimes they are very affected by the weather, and when they do get sick, there are no doctors in the forest, so they have to take care of themselves. So here, in a sense, they are like virtuosi. They create beauty in the true sense of the word. They reveal truth to us in the true sense of the word. So if no one takes care of them, they're quite happy to just go on meditating, and they might even die of hunger, and they're living. Renunciants would not complain. But if lay people who can support this Sangha, wonderful monks and nuns or renunciants, then they will live healthily, and they're able to meditate and live comfortably and benefit us by teaching us their Dharma and sharing their experience with us. That is why we need to support them first, and not just any group. Right? So if we support non-Buddhists and we feel great and good about it, we say, oh no, we've got to be generous to everybody. So here we're not really helping in Buddha's teaching, we're just helping ourselves. We want a big name for ourselves. So it's a very different kind of situation here. And nowadays you find we have lots of monks and nuns, but many of them don't know the Dharma, don't practice meditation. So it's very difficult to get good teachings from them. They're very busy people, they are busy professionals. But when you want the Dharma, nowadays you have to go straight to the suttas themselves. So we have lots of lay people, even full-time lay people, study the Dharma, meditate and teach the Dharma. So this new group of lay people, they're going to be more and more of them. Even at this time, you're listening to my talk now, you find by this time, there are many other lay people who are full-time Dharma teachers. And they are virtuous people, keep the precepts, who practice meditation, who study the suttas, who make an effort to make the suttas known to others, to make others happy too. So they need your support. So they deserve priority of support from you too, in that sense. Yeah. So this is how we as economic beings can make sure that Buddhism, meaning here especially the people who practice, realize and teach the Dharma, are taken care of so that they don't die young and fall sick because they are not supported economically. So they have to spend more time seeking their physical support, the four supports of clothing, of food, shelter and medicine. Perhaps that is why you find today some of the monks and nuns are becoming professional, getting employed and earning income, having lots of money. It's because they have this fear of livelihood. But that's this opposite of renunciation. So is this something that needs to be corrected? So in other words, they don't really have faith in the Dhamma Vinaya because they're afraid that they might die of hunger if they don't work. So this is why the sutta is so wonderful. It reminds us how we need to become true followers of the Buddha. We must have faith in the Buddha's teaching. We should be morally virtuous. We should not believe in rituals that invoke luck. We should rely only on karma, not on luck. And we should seek the gift-worthy within the teaching and give our priority there. So do reflect on this wonderful sutta. Let us now close by reflecting on this wonderful moment when we are so close to the Buddha's teaching. When we are close to the Buddha's teaching, we are also close to the Buddha. The teaching frees our mind, at least momentarily, to see within us this ability to find joy within ourselves without directing our minds and activities outside. Inner peace is true peace. Reflecting in this way is wonderful good karma. By the power of such karma, may we be blessed with good health and all the blessings to live a true Buddhist life in this life itself. Above all, may we be inspired and blessed with the courage and wisdom to aspire towards awakening as stream winners in this life itself. By the power of all this good karma, many other good karmas we have done, let us share our loving kindness to all the beings here, all the people here, that it may be well and happy, that this place is conducive to studying the Dharma, to the practice of meditation, to being Buddhist. Let us send out our loving kindness to our loved ones, to our friends and others, including those whom the Dharma have not touched, that they all may see the Dharma in this life itself and benefit from it. May all beings be well and happy. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.